This is Uncaged Chaos, a space for people who feel too much, think too deeply, and are done shrinking themselves to make life easier for everyone else. Here, we don't bypass the hard stuff. We don't confuse empathy with self-erasure, and we don't call self-abandonment growth. This podcast is about dismantling the cages we were taught to live inside and choosing ourselves with honesty, clarity, and compassion. I'm your host, Andy Van Heel, certified life coach and fellow messy human. And today we're talking about one of the most socially acceptable cages that we all live in. Let's start with a truth that just might sting a little. Seeing potential in someone is not a superpower. It's a projection. Because when you say, I see so much potential in them, what you're really saying is, I know exactly what I would do if I were in their position. That's not love. That's imagination dressed up as hope. We've all been there. That moment where you look at someone and think, if they could just see what I see, everything would change. Maybe it was in a relationship, a job, a friendship, a business partnership. You saw their intelligence before they trusted it, their capacity before they used it, their growth before they chose it. So you stayed. You waited. You gave them the benefit of the doubt again and again and again. Not because you were naive, but because you were hopeful. Because somewhere along the way, we learned that understanding someone's past meant we could predict their future. And it never starts as a red flag. It starts as patience, as compassion, as being the safe person. You tell yourself they're healing, they're figuring it out, they just need some time. And maybe that's true. But while you're holding space for who they might become, you're slowly shrinking around who they currently are. You take on more responsibility. You soften your expectations. You start justifying their behavior so it hurts less to stay. And before you realize it, the dynamic isn't built on mutual effort. It's built on potential. Hope becomes a waiting room, and potential becomes the cage. And here's the part we don't talk about enough. Potential isn't something you're gifted at seeing. It's something you're projecting. Because potential is always measured against yourself, your values, your emotional capacity, your accountability, your willingness to grow. So when you say you see potential, you're not actually seeing who they are. You're seeing who you would be if you were in their circumstances. And without realizing it, it creates an unspoken expectation. An expectation of that they should handle things the way you would, care the way you would, grow the way you would. And that expectation quietly turns into pressure. And pressure, even when it's well-intended, turns into control. This is where empathetic people get stuck the longest because you don't just see the behavior, you see the context. You understand why they avoid hard conversations, why they shut down, why they procrastinate or lash out or even just disappear. And understanding the why makes it harder to leave. But here's the truth we don't hear enough. Understanding someone's wounds doesn't obligate you to live inside the consequences of them. Empathy without boundaries doesn't make you kind. It makes you stagnant. You keep growing while they stay the same. You keep adjusting while they stay comfortable. And resentment quietly creeps in disguised as patience. That's how potential keeps the door locked. Not through cruelty, through compassion that just isn't mutual. So let's talk about the real cost of all of this because it's way more expensive than you'd think. It costs your time, your energy, momentum, even your self-trust. It teaches you to second-guess your instincts, to negotiate your standards, to confuse loyalty with self-abandonment. And the biggest cost of all? You stop choosing yourself in the present while waiting for someone else in the hypothetical. Potential doesn't just cage you. It delays your life, your growth, your journey. And there's one question that can cut through all of it and is the key to the lock of this cage. If this person never changed, would I still choose them? Would I still date them? Hire them? Stay invested? Not if they could change, not if they should change, and not if you believe in them hard enough. If they never changed. The question isn't cruel, it's clarifying. And clarity is freedom. Reclaiming yourself doesn't mean becoming cold or closed off. It simply means choosing reality over fantasy. It means valuing behavior over promises, patterns over expectations, consistency over chemistry. It means stepping out of your cage instead of trying to make it more comfortable. You can love deeply without carrying people. You can be empathetic without sacrificing yourself. You can hope without putting your life on hold. Here's the paradox. People grow more around you when you stop trying to force them to grow. When you choose your own alignment, your own boundaries, your own evolution, you're not just creating space for your own growth, you're teaching people how to treat you. Not through ultimatums, not through lectures, but through consistency. Your standards become visible. Your limits become clear. Your energy becomes honest. And that does something important. It shows people what access to you requires. It models what mutual effort looks like. It removes confusion about what's acceptable and what isn't. And you don't grow by telling people who they should be. You create it by being anchored in who you already are. Some people will rise to meet you. Some will realize they don't want to. And some will simply walk away. All of those responses are information. And none of them require you to abandon yourself. So here's what I want to leave you with this week. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you're giving up on someone. It means you're giving them back their agency. Because as long as you're holding the weight, adjusting the standards, or staying for who they might become, you don't actually get the chance to discover what they're capable of or what they're not. When you step back, you're not abandoning them. You're allowing reality to do its job. You're creating space for them to rise into themselves or remain exactly where they are. And that outcome is not yours to manage. That's their choice to make. Letting go of potential doesn't make you cold. It just makes you honest. It means you stop sacrificing energy for futures that aren't even being chosen and start building a life rooted in what is real. And yes, some people will fall away when you stop carrying them, but that does not mean you have failed them. It means you stopped living inside their unfinished story. You don't inspire growth by staying stuck. You inspire growth by moving forward, by choosing yourself, openly, clearly, and without apology. You become an invitation, not an obligation. Some people will rise to meet you, some won't. Both answers are clarity, both are freedom. So if you're standing at that quiet crossroads, unsure whether to wait a little longer or finally let go, just ask yourself this. If nothing ever changed, would I still choose this? And if the answer is no, let that be information, not judgment. Information that's guiding you out of the cage and back into your life. This is Uncaged Chaos, where we choose clarity over cages, truth over potential disguised as obligation, and ourselves without waiting for permission. Because being human is messy and sometimes really, really hard. But it's kind of the fucking point.